let's go.
We've kind of generally had this situation, haven't we, with Villa when they've tended to potentially be classed as the underdog. You know, when we've had faced Arsenal, we've faced Manchester City multiple times. We beat them 3 times in a row now at home, where we've kind of risen to the occasion and sort of proved a few people wrong or proved a few doubters wrong. I think the test for Villa is when they are expected to win and it's a big game that they're expected to win. That's what they've got to put right. But ultimately, at this moment in time, it was a top win and cemented us back in kind of that top echelons of the league, which was so important. But I think what was really pleasing to see, Martin, was the fact that, you know, we controlled that game, barring that first 10 minutes that Dan said, where we kind of needed to get our confidence up. We needed to get our foothold in the game. We absolutely bossed that game. You know, we shut off any angles to play into Haaland. We shut off any time that Foden got on the ball. He had to go deeper and deeper for the ball. The 2 fullbacks marked 1v1 defending against the wingers brilliantly. And then not only that, we were fast, we were purposeful, and we were accurate when we were going forward. And we had multiple opportunities where we were playing it across our defence in their and City were putting every man behind the ball. So it wasn't just a win where we were defensively organised and sound. We were also controlled and threatening in attack. And we should have really won by more.
Yeah, we should have won by a lot more. But in the first half, most certainly. But I felt the first 10, 15 minutes, of course, Man City were more dominant. They were in control of the possession. We just had to kind of ride and weather that storm a little bit, which I think we were okay with. We weren't exactly uncomfortable with having the ball. Our shape was perfect. What I loved about our shape was we forced Man City into this wide, predictable play. Like, we didn't exactly let them go through the middle of us. We didn't let Reinders get running behind. We didn't let Bernardo Silva get runs in behind. We dropped Onana and Kamara like just on either side of Pau and Konza, which for me was absolutely perfect to see that there was no space in behind for Reinders and Bernardo Silva to make. So we had to force them into the wingers, which didn't create a whole lot. Savinha wasn't on it. Doku, yeah, he had a bit of a bright energy spark, but he wasn't exactly setting the world alight. And it was just absolutely incredible, I felt. And I felt that when we grew into the game possession-wise, what I loved was our ball retention. It was quick, sharp possession, getting up to the high end of the pitch, committing Man City forward, and then we could just make that quick turn like we seen Buendia do in the first half, and just getting into an unbelievable position, finding players. That's exactly how I love seeing Villa play. You know, just you might not have all the possession in the world, but when you do have it, you can hurt teams, and that's something that really suits us. And just to kind of tie it with Go Ahead Eagles, which I know some people probably don't want to talk about that, but we don't suit this having all the possession and teams putting 11 men behind the ball. We suit being on the back foot more or less. Not a whole lot, but enjoying possession when we do have it, causing problems, getting high up the pitch very quickly. And that really hurt Man City, because Man City's midfield became wide and open, and we just exploited that so much. And Watkins' hold of play at the first half was excellent. He was finding Buendia, he was finding Rodgers. Rodgers was finding the wide ball, and for the goal, I know it probably wasn't intended for Matty Cash, because you could see Rodgers trying to go for the ball, but it goes right past him. And Matty Cash just great touch past Silva, whacks it with the left foot into the bottom corner, and Donnarumma was just left 2-footed on the ground, nothing he could do about it. And it was just a brilliant first half, and we should have been ahead by like 2 or 3 in that first half, but unfortunately it wasn't. And then the second half was just a flip of a coin. Man City had all the possession, we didn't have too many chances, but we contained them so well. Like, we just were dominant physically. I felt we were just so good with that because we didn't give Man City too much space. We didn't let them come through the middle of us, and we got our due awards. And we got lucky with the offside call because our line was very good, and that was just good to see that we were all still in concentration, regardless, no matter what minute we were in. But we got the 3 points over the line, and that's all that matters to me. To get 6 points from Tottenham and Man City is a huge blessing because it really these 3 games, because we've Liverpool now next, these 3 games are going to make or break our season, and so far we've made it.
Any young footballer watching that, if they're looking for an example of how to defend 1v1, just watch Matty Cash's performance, because every time they faced him up, he got nice and low. His body positioning was perfect. He was if you look at his feet, he was matching the exact movement that the player who was trying to beat him was enacting, and then he had the perfect time of when to go for the ball. So whether that was the trying to put a cross in, whether that was the try to beat him, he had the perfect timing of when to put that tackle in. And that comes from like focusing solely on the ball and matching the foot movement. And it was a brilliant lesson in 1v1 defending, and absolutely take my hat off to him because he gets a lot of criticism. We know he can be a little bit rash in some challenges, but yesterday he was so disciplined. And he's been fairly consistent all season, and obviously signed his contract extension today. But brilliant performance from him, and he was still a threat going forward.
Yeah, I have to say Matty Cash has been head and shoulders above his standards as opposed to last season and the season before, maybe because he probably wasn't playing at full fitness. He always had niggling injuries that would cause him problems, and it can affect your confidence as well because you always feel like, is he good enough? Is he not good enough? And he would get a lot of stick on Twitter as well because, he's one of them sort of players with the fan base kind of divided. Is he good enough for Villa? Yes, he is. Or is it just a case of he's just there to make up the numbers? For me, I just feel like he's a mainstay. I just think that he's been there long enough now. He's in the system long enough. He's gone through Dean Smith, Steven Gerrard, and now Unai Emery's, and he's still been the number one right back. So it goes to show he's gone through 3 different managers, and he's still the first choice. And I just feel like with Emery's system, he's so suited to the fact that we can just let our left back do all the bombing on, and Matty Cash can kind of have that more relaxed role as being as that false right back. And when we're in possession, he's high, he's controlling possession, he's not exactly cautious, but he's following instructions. He's making sure the simple passes are all correct. And I remember I can't remember, it was one of the European matches when anytime Matty Cash was passing back and he was getting a bit of stick and he gave it back to the fans, calm down. There's a reason why I'm doing this. Like, you have to remember, he's a professional footballer getting the instructions at the end of the day. We're just the spectators watching it. And if we're able to give a bit of stick, he should be able to give it back, And that's just the way it is.
And also, Martin, I mean, you've done some coaching before in your time. Like, when you see even a semi-professional, I know we all have our opinions. I totally get that and respect it and all that sort of stuff. But it's like, even when you see a semi-professional footballer actually play football, they're unbelievable. So to see like an actual Premier League footballer, if we ever got on the pitch with them or ever played any side of football with them,
we'd be like, put on toast, mate.
Yeah, it would just be an absolute another level of it would these people aren't humans. That's what it would be like.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously I've done a bit of coaching. I'm not comparing myself to Unai Emery of any of the sort, but I have won 3 trophies in 2 years, just saying. But
anyway. There you
go. Well, I'm just saying, the way I would like to play my fullbacks is exactly the way Unai Emery likes to. I like to have one bombing on. I have one sitting there playing a little bit of football.
I've actually heard on the grapevine that Unai Emery wants to match the way that you play the fullback. So don't do yourself down there, Martin.
Look, if he does, he can ring me, but I want compensation. I'm not asking for too much. I'm only asking for a house, a few cars, yourself, a few luxury models in the back garden, preferably beach volleyball players of the sort. You know what I mean, lads? I'm not asking for too much here, but no, I have to say that going back on point here with Matty Cash, he's been absolutely fantastic. He's had a great few weeks. The pass for the winning goal against Tottenham, the winning goal today, and his contract extension as well. So it goes to show that he's going to be a mainstay now for the next 4 years, and obviously there's an option for an additional year. So hopefully 5 more years of Matty Cash to come.
I think maybe the media are trying to make a story out of it because it's Jadon Sancho. Unai Emery's done this multiple times. He's done it with Morgan Rogers. He's done it with Leon Bailey. These wider players who have to put in a lot of hard yards, they have to understand that there's a tactical point in every game where something might have to change in terms of maybe dropping someone deeper, bringing on a more defensive play, getting more control in the game. It's not a personal thing. It's a tactical thing. And he was having a good game, but you did see for that sort of 5 minute spell before he went off that he was giving the ball away a little bit. We were looking a little bit more exposed on that side that he was playing. So it was understandable when he did bring Gesson and Barkley on.
Yeah, I think we sort of got to, I know they're professional footballers and they probably still, if they don't have a pre-season, return with 0.003% body fat and all that nonsense. But you sort of got to remember that whether it was his doing or United's doing, he didn't really play a single minute of any football or any competitive football for probably 3 and a bit months. So I think, yeah, okay, it's, and as you say, because it's Sancho and because everyone seemingly wants him to fail, that they want to make a story out of it, the fact he got hooked. But actually, like, he played 65 minutes on Thursday in Holland, and then he came on probably 40 minutes earlier than he was even expecting to come on. So actually, Emery will know why he did it, but it's quite possibly he's just managing the workload, because we know that we've got another big game on Saturday night, and then after that it's another European game, and then it's Bournemouth at home 3 days after that. Yeah. If Buendia is out for, let's say worst case, 3 or 4 months, we do need to manage players' workload, and I think they probably showed it more close-ups on TV, but he gave the ball away a couple of times, but actually he looked like he was blowing out his arse a bit as well.
He had to work hard. Like, I've been impressed with his work rate, and particularly in the first half, the sort of 15-20 minutes that he first came on. I mean, the amount of running he was doing up and down that line, supporting. Was he on Cash's? Digne, supporting Luke Digne. Like, it was crazy how much work he was having to put in.
Yeah, I think these, and again, there are a couple of bits where he was doubling up with Cash or Digne, depending which side it was, where he was on, and that's where, again, we may or may not get onto sort of guess on, but you sort of, when Bailey first came, going forward, if he wasn't injured, was superb, but it was always going back. He'd sort of jog back, but actually they say defense is the best form of attack. And yeah, you could have Jadon Sancho hovering on the edge of the opponent's 18-yard box, but actually if you've got 10 opposition players that are into our own half, it's no good. So I think that's where probably Emery's got into maybe Gesson or Sancho or some of them, to say you need to help us when we go back to go forward. And yeah, I know when he's probably on big money and what have you, and people want him to be scoring goals, but actually you people don't thank him or give him the credit doing the defensive work, which actually may have been where Emery said, that's what I want you to do. If you get a chance, then take it. But that's where I need you to help. So yeah, no complaints from me.